Hi, and thanks for tuning in to CS to Go with Code Savvy. This is the Week 3 Unplugged video. Unplugged activities don't require technology at all, so you won't need a laptop, tablet, or even a phone to complete this activity. It's great to meet you. My name is Andrea, and I'm a teacher and the Director of Educator Training for Code Savvy. Let's get started. Our challenge this week is all about creating something in honor of Poetry Month. Something that comes to mind when I think about poems are the rhymes that repeat. This reminds me of a computational thinking concept called pattern recognition, where we identify and use similarities in our programs. One example of a poem with a repeating rhyme is called a rhyming couplet, which consists of two lines where the last words rhyme, and they're usually silly. Something like, "My cat found a mouse and brought it in the house." Let's think about how we could use patterns to help us create our own rhyming couplets. Maybe we could get started by writing out some rhyming word families, things like mouse and house, or bug and rug, or bone and throne. What other examples can you think of? Maybe we could use the example rhyming couplet I gave at the beginning to help us create our own. The example was, "My cat found a mouse and brought it in the house." So let's see, if we use bug and rug, it would be, "My cat found a bug and brought it in the rug." I'm not sure that works quite right, but it is kind of silly. I think we might be able to do better. Let's see how that might work. In computer science, we can use lists to help us store certain kinds of data and information that we want to use in our program. We can do the same thing here when we're writing our rhyming couplet. We've created a list for animals, another one for past tense verbs, and another one for rhyming nouns. We could use other kinds of lists to add additional elements to our poem. What kinds of lists do you think you would want to create? Now we can use the list information to help us fill in our poem. Each list that we have corresponds to a different spot in our poem. So, for example, in our poem, there's a spot for a noun, so we have a list for nouns. When you're using your lists to help us fill in your poem, you can either choose from the first element from each list, or you could choose a random element from each list to help you fill in your poem. That can make it really fun. A possible next step is to invite a partner to play with you. You could ask them for the kinds of words you're looking for, like a noun, two adverbs, two verbs in the past tense, and two rhyming nouns, and then you could use the information they give you to fill out the poem. The big reveal of the final poem is always a really fun surprise. This strategy for poem writing, where we use lists and categories for words in order to help us fill in a poem, uses another computational thinking concept called abstraction. Abstraction is where we remove unnecessary detail so that something that works in one situation can also work in another. Let's take a look at one more unplugged activity idea for poem writing. When I was thinking about poems, I was thinking about how sometimes they contain some pretty personal feelings that we really only want the person who the poem is for to read. We can use something called encryption to help keep our messages a secret to the outside world. Let's think about a pretty traditional love poem. Roses are red, violets are blue, and then a complement statement is inserted, and then the final line is a rhyme. So, what if that poem said, "Roses are red, violets are blue, this poem's a secret," and then we included an encrypted message that only the intended person had the code to read? We could use something called a pigpen cipher to help us encrypt our last line of our poem, and then we could give the pigpen cipher to the person who we want to read the poem. A pigpen cipher works by using a special symbol to represent the location of a letter on the different grids. All right, here's our encrypted poem. Can you figure it out? Roses are red, violets are blue. This poem's a secret. Feel free to pause the video if you want to figure it out. It's only for you. We hope you've enjoyed these activity ideas and that you are inspired to create something in honor of Poetry Month. Thank you so much for joining us for week 3 of CS to Go with Code Savvy. This has been the Unplugged video, and we can't wait to see you again next week for more fun. Take care.